Hey there, how's it going? What you're going to see now in this video is a four-man normal mode kill at Amascut, Goddess of Destruction. Me and a small group, after getting killed in hard mode for about 3 hours at 2000%, decided to drop down to normal mode. And we learned it pretty quick after maybe 5 or 6 attempts at the boss. And yeah, we were able to get down to a four-man pretty efficiently. And this is going to be just a run through of one of those kills. You can see here we are. Bad surge there. We've got a dedicated tank here. Most of us are using necromancy, and we've got one major in the group. But yeah, let's just jump into the kill. Phase one here is pretty straightforward. Melee, rather, magic and ranged autos to everybody, just like Zamorak. You can see based on what hand she's using, left hand, right hand. This mechanic here, this grovel mechanic, is really good for split souling, although I neglected the split soul because I misclicked it earlier. But you're pretty much safe during that mechanic when she does that. So you can split soul during that, and then you saw there were different color attacks. She uses one hit for each tile, and she kind of color codes what the order they're coming in, so the tank has to pray against those. This here is the Scarab mechanic, and at the time, we hadn't realized that if you phase her before they would explode, they'll just die without exploding, because otherwise you need to stun them to stop them from blowing up. So she phases here at a normal mode at 2.8 million health. And sometimes it does what you see here, where it runs through a set of mechanics again before she phases. That was that attack that I mentioned where she color coordinates her the order her attacks are going to come in, kind of like Arch Glacier against the base tank there. And that tank just has to use Anticipate and then pray the correct style so they can switch. So when you actually get phase two to start, you get these crocodiles and these gorillas. You only have to kill the gorillas, although it's handy to kill the crocodiles. And then you have to go in and clear out the um the statues. Sorry, I couldn't think of the word. I don't show it in this kill, but you can kind of see um there's three sets of chains, and you got to kill those chains, and then somebody has to do what I'm doing, where they're outside the fight, and then you can see the Kronda statue is glowing. Whoever doesn't, whoever isn't in the room killing the chains has to go and purify that statue. And so there's another room on the other side. In this phase, it's for 8 You have to kill the guardian there. And then once the guardian's dead, you just kill the chains. And again, in normal mode, this is pretty easy. And in ranged mode, there's AoEs going off constantly, which is really frustrating and annoying to deal with. But normal mode, it's really easy. You just do that. And then again, somebody purifies the statue. You can see right there, it's been purified 3 times. And then from that point on, there's a mechanic where you have to walk a little fragment of Tumikin. You can see the person going down there on the bottom of the screen. You walk that over to the appropriate statue, and then it stuns her. And you can stack the stuns. So if you stun her with both statues like we're doing here, it basically doubles the time, kind of like Crocius if you activate all of the statues at the same time. And this is free damage at this point. You get quite a big window to split soul, to just unleash kind of your most reckless damage capabilities against there. You can see at the top under her health bar, there's like a timer. If this goes up all the way, you lose automatically. It's a hard insta kill. There's no way around it. It pauses when she's stunned. So if you're pretty quick like we were, you don't have to worry about that. And again, this is normal mode, so once you've practiced a couple times, it's pretty lax. And then after that, when she's up, she'll just run through her normal attack rotation again. You can see she's doing that 3-hit combo to our base tank over there on the right. And then she'll phase at 1.2 million. And then it's basically a repeat of what we just did, but there's a catch. So first, she still summoned the exploding scarabs. So you want to kill those with stuns, or you could defensive through them. The hits are typeless, but they can be reduced. So here you can see that it can't damage the gorilla, and that's because there's this really bad, awful mechanic here that's really clunky, non-intuitive, where you have to kill the scarabs and then click it to throw it, and then throw it at the gorilla to lower the shield. And you have to do the same thing inside when you free the Het and Scabera statues. You have to throw scarabs at both the guard and then all three chains. So you want to have somebody who is outside the encounter throwing four scarabs into the portal, probably more because if the person's too slow, they're going to explode anyways. So you can see here, I just threw one at the gorilla. I made him weak, so I'm going to just kill a gorilla. I'm going to damage him down while I tank these dogs. I can't remember their names. And then once he's dead, I'm going to run inside and take care of the not Crondus, the Scabarus statue, or rather, I'm going to throw the scarabs into my partner who's in there. And you can see if you look at the chat at the bottom, we've cleansed the Het statue, and we're just waiting now for the Scabarus statue. You know, you can kill these guys out here, but they explode when their bar goes off. You can click them to throw them at Amascut, but it doesn't seem to do any damage to her. So it's just kind of, you can ignore them, although they do heal her a little bit. It's kind of your choice on how you want to handle it. But, you know, once you've done that, again, you do the same thing where somebody lures the little Tumikin over to the appropriate statue, and then you just, again, free damage, take your time, and just, well, not don't take your time, but you know, you just blast her down with your strongest attacks. So you'll go through this here, and you want to build up a strategy we've been doing at this point, so we don't have to worry about leftover scarabs because they're gonna persist into the fifth and final phase and explode. Something we've been doing because adrenaline is not so important in normal mode as you get into P5 is to get ready, and you'll see that we barricade. I like to tag one of those obelisks, but you don't really need to because in normal mode they just deal AoE. So if you're not near them, then you're safe. But so you can see we all basically barricade, and then what you need to do and how to handle this mechanic is to alternate having two people stand on the green line that she sends out over to the statue. You need 1 to 2 players to channel energy from a statue into one of the 4 fragments you see along the north behind her. So, you know, there's one fragment for each statue, and then once one is full, you need to click it right there, and then she will call on somebody to basically block the hit from Tumikin. You can see my screen turned red there, which means that I'm the one who had to get between her and Tumikin itself, and it just kind of alternates randomly. You don't get called upon twice, but this is the end of the fight here, and you can see we're going to get it in a 1 cycle, so that's pretty good. And you know, if you fail that, you just have to go through that phase again where you have to have some people channel the light from the statues over to the fragments of Tumikin, and then again you just click Tumikin, and that triggers the final phase where you can damage her again, and that will just kind of repeat for all 4 fragments until you kill her. And really, that's it. Normal mode is pretty simple. Once you kind of do it a few times and you get the rhythm, it's really easy. I'm up to like 30 kills right now, and I actually have a little treat. I think this was about my 10th kill or so, but I got my first drop, and it was a lovely little hat. So that's pretty cool. Another guy in my group got the arm guard a few kills later, which was pretty awesome. But you know, everything's available in normal mode. It's obviously more rare than in Rage, and there's no Genesis shard, but you know, I'm excited for the release of hard mode, and I know 2K was cleared, so that's going to be exciting. Maybe I'll get a video on that if we can get a kill. All right, take it easy.